listening to The Burn. Gaming stuff, blazing fast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Burn, podcast about gaming done blazing fast. I'm Aviv Manoach.
And I am Omer Kaplan. Hey, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon.
Good evening, good night, good celestial holiday.
Yes, is there a celestial holidays right now? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I have no idea.
There's one probably somewhere. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Exactly. How have you been?
It's pretty good. Pretty early in the morning here. So that's pretty nice. You get me right after my second coffee, all excited. We got some great game. I was about to say games, but it's probably a game to talk about today. So I'm kind of excited for that. Yeah, and so how's life? How's everything? Give me a recipe for cauliflower.
I don't have a recipe for cauliflower. I just put it in the microwave and someone else actually do the cooking. I'm like the I don't know how to say the first position in the kitchen when you just help. No, a sous chef is a lot higher. A sous chef is the second in command to the chef of the kitchen. I'm the.
Okay, so how many people do you have in the kitchen?
I don't have anyone in the kitchen, but if you take like a commercial kitchen in a restaurant, you have the smallest, tiniest guy, whatever. That his entire job is prepare stuff for other people. He cuts things and he puts things in pots and whatever. He passes the spices.
So like the Maison Plus person.
I have no idea what that means.
Okay.
But yeah,
we're gonna put it in the show notes just before the show.
Exactly. But yeah, when my mom cooks cauliflower and she wants to save time, she asks me to put it in the microwave first, so it's mushy and ready to be cooked. I don't know what she does the rest of the time.
That's perfect. Welcome to The Burn, the
podcast about burning food. Yes, it can go either way. We can do The Burn about barbecue and stuff.
Yeah. How you burn food? That's great. All right, cool. But
no, this is a podcast about gaming. In each episode, we discussed a game that we played and have stuff to say about. And we talk about news stories or something new that happened. You can listen to our episode in the website, which is theburn.live. You can also find the links to subscribe to the show so you can listen on your Apple podcast or Google podcast or Spotify or whatever. That's all. That is all an option. I'm not going to put this link in the show notes.
All right. Put it in the phone note.
No.
Okay.
Our game of the show today is Genshin Impact, which is a new Chinese game that took Twitch by storm, and everyone was playing it, mostly because it's beautiful and also free. And you can find it on about every platform available, like literally everything. It's on Switch, it's on PlayStation, it's on PC. I think it's on mobile as well. Yes, it's on mobile as well.
It's on mobile, and it runs amazing on mobile, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, so I didn't play it yet. I installed it. I did like the initial cutscene that let you choose the boy or girl. And then I arrived at the bitch, and then I went to I know I pronounced bitch as the wrong kind of one, but I'm not American, so I can't differentiate between the I and the EA.
Yeah, and as a person who had this issue before, the trick is to prolong the E, so it's like beaches, and not like the short version.
Beach, yeah, okay. Like, beach.
Yeah, just pull. Yeah, just like.
This is like the second episode in a row when we are talking about languages.
Right. So we had the Hebrew lesson last time. Now it's kind of like a transition to English one. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So you, after the opening cutscene, you get to the beach, and then you learn how to jump and swing your sword, and then there is a checkpoint, and then I turned off my console. So tell us what's happened after that.
Okay, so I think I have like almost 10 hours of Genshin Impact, not to be confused with Genshin Impact, which is the wrong way to pronounce the game, as we learned in our pre-show. Um, yeah, so okay, so here's an unpopular maybe opinion. I really didn't like Breath of the Wild. I mean, I liked everything about it aesthetically. I think it had some issues that I couldn't get past. And then I casually bumped into, I don't even know how I bumped into Genshin, and I was like, oh my god, this is like exactly like my redemption arc from Breath of the Wild. It's everything I wanted to be. So let's start with the beginning, because you mentioned the two biggest like selling points of the game. It's visually stunning and it's free. So, zero risk. You download the thing, you install it, right off the bat. Great soundtrack, very, everything you would expect out of kind of like
I
those
would say that
kind of games.
the parallels to Breath of the Wild are noticeable, but then again, the game is like it's like they sat there and at the studio that made this miHoYo whatever, and they say let's take Breath of the Wild and do that, but then they started adding things and changing things, so you can see the Breath of the Wild underneath it, but there is so much else they did with it.
So here's the thing: they took all the inspiration, and I'm using it's a very broad sense of like inspiration from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a cell shaded environment and the stamina bar when you climb things and run and stuff. And that's basically it.
That's even more. You have so you get like even the monster aesthetics are kind of the same, and I mean, it's very similar. There's like the cooking mechanism is surprisingly similar. So there's a lot of like similarities to the like Breath of the Wild in this. But the thing is, with Genshin, they said, okay, well, it's free, unlike Breath of the Wild. So we need to add like a billion other mechanics and stuff to do on top of it. So, oh, by the way, there's gliding, like air gliding. I think the air gliding is more similar to it feels like Breath of the Wild, but it's similar to what, I don't know if you remember, like Guild Wars 2 started doing like air gliding at some point. So it's like a more simplified version of Breath of the Wild in terms of gliding. So it's an open world, super stunning, very Breath of the Wildish, even with the monster aesthetics and everything. And then on top of it, you have all these mechanisms. So you start as a single person, they call the traveler, and then you meet some other people. You make your party of four characters out of like about 30 in the game, and you do like open world stuff. You have your individual progression, which is every character has their own level, and then you have your adventure rank, which is the global kind of like progression throughout the game. And the more adventure rank you have, the more like adventures and quest lines you open up until you get to the end. So that's very nice.
I didn't know there were so many characters. I saw a bunch of people playing it on Twitch, and I just didn't notice the difference between the characters. But I thought that you get a party and that's it.
No, I'm gonna put you a link in the show notes. Anyway, so there's like a ton of characters. I think it's about 30 characters, and the cool thing about it is that the combat uses this elemental, I forgot how they call it, but it's essentially like a combo system where every character has their own like element that they use, and they have like a skill and like an ultimate ability. And they have like passives and stuff, but we don't talk about that. So it's like a deep like character system, but essentially every character has their own element, and you can combine them and have all these effects between the different characters in the party. So for example, you have a character that make people wet, and then you take the lightning character and you do lightning on the water, and then you do like a big AoE damage. So you have your combos between the characters, but you also have to combo in relation to the enemy composition. So if you have a bunch of, I don't know, fire slimes, you can either vaporize them, or you can melt them, or you can do like whatever. So there's like a ton of stuff you can do between characters and the enemies you encounter. And then I didn't really understand what's the difference between the 4-star characters and the 5-star characters, but I guess there is one in terms of stats. I mean, I'm really taking the game, face value. It's kind of interesting. It's one of those, they call it like gacha games, when it's basically like Chinese loot box kind of thing, where, and we're gonna talk about that mechanism in a second, because that's the major like reason people spend like $2,000 on this. But essentially, they have like character progression costs you resources, like the individual character progression. So if you want to, like, you have your 4 people in the party, you have like your 10 characters or 12 or whatever you collect in your stable, but every character has their own progression, which you have to buy with gold and some items that you find. So, in that sense, that's kind of like a weird part about the game, where it's not really like your traditional like MMO progression. It's very focused on single player. So that was my point where I started. I started with the single player point, and then I venture off into the payment mechanism point. So any questions you have like about the game in general?
No, you totally lost me. I didn't understand why did you mention the single player in relation to character progression? It's focused on single player, how it's related to the character progression.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, it's good for you to focus me, because I wanted to talk about the character progression, and then jump back into the single player. Perfect. So it's very focused on single player, because right now I know that they're gonna add some co-op like mechanism to the game, and there's no PvP. So the game is very focused on single player, in a sense of, everything you get, even with the loot boxes system, like affects your experience. There's no like PvP, or there's nothing that impacts like other people.
Do you see other people at all when you play?
No, I mean, I know that there's a co-op.
So why are we talking about it in a matter of single player versus not single player? It's not a multiplayer game.
Because I think, like, unlike other games in this genre, like I don't know, from Maple Stories to other like quote unquote like MMOs, it's very different in the sense that the experience is very like individual.
Yeah, so but if it's not sold as a multiplayer game, I don't get why we're talking about it. The only reason to compare it to other games is because it's also free. It's a free-to-play single-player game. What's the problem?
Oh, there's no problem. It's just like, I don't know. It feels like different than other games in that type that I've played before. So that's why I thought it's like a differentiator, but maybe it isn't. So let's leave.
But it's not of that type. It's of the type of a single-player RPG. That's the type. It's a Breath of the Wild free-to-play with collect-a-ton character progression.
Yeah, it's literally Breath of the Wild single player. You know what? That's like the best way to define it.
Breath of the Wild is also single player. It's Breath of the Wild free to play.
It's Breath of the Wild free to play. Didn't I mention it's like very early in the morning, when like at the top of the show?
Yeah, and 2 weeks from now we are going to record even earlier in the morning, and I can't have you be this disorganized, Omer.
I know. Nothing coffee can solve. Let me tell you that.
So drink coffee before the show.
Yes. All right. Perfect. Let's talk about.
No, wait a moment. I want to hear more about the character collection aspect.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So characters feel very diverse in the game. Like, I don't mean like ethnically diverse, because it's the type of game.
It's anime. They are all white anime character. Well, it's the Chinese version of anime. There is like the Japanese anime, the Chinese anime, and the Korean anime. They are all anime, but called different things, which I don't remember.
So basically, they're all trying to sell you like waifu materials and like K-pop kind of guys, I guess. Anyway,
C-pop.
So exactly. But in terms of like animations and the skills that they have, and they feel really diverse. I mean, it's all very like archetypical in a sense. So I mean, nothing gonna surprise you. You got your like knight maid lady with a big sword. You got your your ice dude that carry a big club. You've got your girl that can turn into a raven. Yeah, I don't know. It's feel like very like like archetypical, but in terms of like the animations and the weapons and the different skills, you can create basically any party composition that you want, which I kind of like. And the way the game is played, they make you the combat is essentially quickly switching between characters and using their skills and basic attacks to do like quick combos, which I kind of like. It's much more forgiving and feel like easier, like than Breath of the Wild. If we're making that comparison, like you actually feel like powerful and can do like really cool and explosive stuff, which is nice.
The combat is turn-based or real-time?
No, the combat is real time.
Okay.
So, so essentially, yeah. So with like a PC, for example, I get you get your characters switch mapped into 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's about like 1, do some skill, 2, do some skill, 3, and then you combo on top of that, and you got some ranged characters that uses like bows, and you got some melee characters with like bows or great swords or clubs, or you know each one of them has their own like basic attack, but also like heavy attack, which is like slightly different for some characters. So there is diversity. The thing is, some characters you get just by playing the game, which I guess like you get this basic set at the end of the main quest line.
Maybe that's
And-
why I only saw certain characters on Twitch.
Yeah,
because
you-
that's
yeah,
what
you'll get-
everyone uses.
Yeah, you'll just get them like passively, and then the other characters you have to get through the loot boxes mechanism. And let me tell you about the loot box mechanism. It's amazing. So it like loot box in this game called wishes. So because everything is like very celestial and like like that type of thing in the game. So you just like wish on things, and the way they did it is that first of all, well, they give you a lot of wishes, quote unquote, up front, so you can like get the hang of it and then pay them. Like, did you see there's a Twitch VOD floating around where a guy spent like $2,000 on wishes just to get the character he wanted?
No.
So it's a thing. People actually paid like a lot of. That's why the only thing I told you before downloading the game, I told you this game is amazing. Just don't like if you have a tendency for like in-app purchases and loot boxes and stuff. This is like they made it really really nice. So when you wish on something, you get this like cool animation of like falling stars, and it's like the only context you can see this like screen. So it's very satisfying. And sometimes most of the time you get crap like weapons and things, but sometimes you get a whole new character to play, which is like it feels amazing to get a character. So just by playing the game and like grinding for like wish material, I got about like 35 wishes, and I got I think 3 or 4 characters, which is nice. I don't know. But if you're really
Did you get those characters from wishes or from
yeah. So I got like 2 or 3 characters from the game, and another like 4 characters from wishes.
Is there a way to get more things beside randomly?
So I know. So there's a shop in the game. So there's like all the payments mechanism you want in the game.
No, I meant through playing the game, not buying it.
Yes. So according to Reddit and people who played like more than 100 hours in the game, you can get all the things you want beside characters from like grinding in the game itself.
Okay,
but
characters are only through random generated loot boxes.
Yeah, which kind of sucks. It kind of sucks because like there's a bard character I really want, but I can't get, and I'm not planning to pay just to maybe randomly get her. Even though she's not even a 5-star character, you still I don't know. The nice thing about it is like with every new character that comes out, so they're just releasing characters as the game progresses. Whenever they release a new character, they give you like a preview version which you can like hang around and play with it, and if you really want it, you have to wish for it, which is fine, I guess. So that's like a part of the game that it doesn't suck, but like I don't know. I mean, I guess it's the way to make money, so that's a thing.
I tell you what, I keep comparing it in my head to Warframe, and Warframe is co-op, but basically anything you own, it doesn't matter when you play with other people, like because it's co-op, it's only PvE, so it's about the same thing. And in Warframe, you you grind for materials, and the only thing you spend money on basically is the time it takes you to crafting. So a weapon might be 24 hours, a full frame might take 3 days, something like that, and you can pay to skip that. And some frames, in order to build frames, which are essentially characters, you need their parts. There are 3 parts per frame. And those can either be won from specific missions or on specific planets. But then there are the Prime versions, which are only random drops from things called relics, which is the best implementation of loot boxes I ever seen, because in order to open relics, you must play the game.
Exactly.
You don't buy them. You don't. You can't pay for them. You get a relic as a drop, and then you go into a mission. And in order to open the relic, you must keep playing the game. So it's never a flow of, okay, I got boxes, now I spend 10 minutes on a opening screen like you see in Hearthstone and Heroes and stuff like that. You keep playing the game and you keep progressing and you open loot boxes. And that's how you get everything in Warframe. So, and that's why Warframe is the only free-to-play game that I actually liked spending money on, because I also felt like I actually contributed to the developer, but also it felt like they appreciate my time and the effort I put into the game.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine in Warframe, you only got like, I don't know, you get your 5 frames, you played like, I don't know, you played like your 300 hours, you get your 5-6 frames, and then all the other frames are locked behind totally random loot boxes, and primes are locked behind like a 0.6% of getting like a prime, which is insane.
Well, that wouldn't be a good system.
So that's Genshin.
Yeah, but, well, I guess I would have to play it. The question here is how it really impact your experience.
I don't think it really is. The thing is, like, I got my set of characters, I play the game, I progress. You don't have, so they say, and players say, you don't have to get any additional characters in order to complete like the main quest. So so you can definitely go like full free to play. But the extra characters, especially after you get one with the free wishes, they're so nice that you're saying, oh, but the Bard character is so cool, I wish I could play her, but you can't. So, even though, and it's totally random, so you can't even say, okay, I'm going to spend like $40 and get a character guaranteed. You can spend like a $2,000 and maybe...
Oh, that's another thing with Relic in Warframe. Each Relic tells you what is the set of items that can drop from it. So if I want a part of Zephyr, I go into my relic screen and I type Zephyr, and it will show me all the relics that I have that have a chance to drop a Zephyr part. Digital extremes.
I know. No, honestly, like, I didn't like the Warframe aesthetics, but having played like, I don't know, 50 hours of Warframe, it has like the best, like, this game feels very good, like, to give like the developers mind. Like, they implemented like the systems super like player considerate, other than just say, okay, well, everything is locked, just pay us like a whole bunch of money, maybe you'll get it, maybe you don't. So that's one con. The only I don't think I'm not, I guess maybe it's like typical for games like this, but in order to, like, so you get your stable of like, let's say 10 characters, out of them you play with mostly 4, like, individual character progression, like leveling up, costs you resources. So they don't like naturally level up through experience. I mean, they do, but it's very like minuscule. If you want to like do the big jumps, you have to invest resources, and those resources aren't super available. So again, I'm stuck with like 4 characters who are level 20, 3 characters who are level 9, and 2 characters who are level 1, because I hardly play with them. So, I mean, your party isn't like evenly leveling up. So, at some point, especially with the elements like combo system, I want to take like that character to this mission, but I can't because it's too low level, so I have to really protect them. And I don't know. I I guess it's like
It
it's to be
doesn't
expected.
sounds like you actually like the game.
No, it's super fun. So I would jump into it like right now and play like for an hour. It's because the world is so nice and the soundtrack. I mean, don't expect when you go into it. Don't expect like very good like writing, and like the missions are kind of silly. But everything about it, like gameplay, it's like I open it with a statement of it's everything I wanted Breath of the Wild to be, and that still stands. So it's if you like Breath of the Wild and you want like I don't know, it feels like you're more powerful. The combo system is super nice. Gameplay wise, everything's great. Like mechanism wise, it's kind of like not totally my thing, but I can get over it. So, and I'm definitely not gonna pay money for it. So I mean, IGN gave it a 9. If you would force a number out of me, I would also be like hard pressed for like an 8 or something. I mean, it's great. Like it's easily a 100-hour sync, and I'll have fun.
Okay, that's excellent. If it's a free to play 100 hour game, that's amazing. Yeah. After that many hours, I would put some money into it just to give them something. Okay.
Yeah.
That's enough.
And
We need to move on.
all right. Sounds good. Let's move.
We're well past the mark.
We're well past our bedtime.
That as well. Anyway, news of the episode, like 2 days ago, something like that, there was another nVidia event. They push a couple of those this month. Like 3 weeks ago, there was the new RTX 3 series and things. And this was an event for developers, I guess. And the interesting thing that came out of it is the nVidia Omviverse, which will mainly interest any of you that is into digital 3D work and game development, but not only game development. They are selling it as a solution also for like architecture and animation, stuff like that. Anything that uses the 3D work pipeline, like from Maya to Substance Painter to Unreal Engine, stuff like that. It's basically Google Docs for 3D pipeline, like a fully real-time collaborative experience. Like a studio can all together open each of like any program. These were examples that they gave, like Blender and Maya and Substance and Unreal Engine. But they said any software, so it will be interesting. There's a bunch of plugins that are created for in order to use it, and it will sync the work between each team member in real time, fully real time collaboration on 3D software. They are selling it is only compatible with RTX. I don't know at the moment if it's an actual technical limitation or it's just that they are trying to push the RTX cards, and that's how they do it, like they did before with Shadowplay and stuff like that. But if you think about other collaborative 3D tools that existed before, these things can take a very high load on your machine. So I'm not surprised it's require a heavy duty graphic card. But I wonder if they started to develop this thing a while ago, or is this something that came out of the COVID period? When people need to sync their work between houses and stuff like that, which is interesting. I have no idea how big studios work. I don't know how much do you need to work on the same 3D assets simultaneously. But
this is what I wanted. This is what I want to ask you. Like, what is this solve or optimize for a studio? Is that is it gonna make the process more streamlined? Is it gonna like make development time shorter because there's no like different sharing plugins between different softwares or?
I tell you what, the problem it solves, and again, I don't know how much the real-time element is worth here, but in a game development pipeline, you have like what I work with. I work with Blender and Substance for texturing, and then into Unreal Engine. And so you need to export the file from Blender with as an FBX with all the UV maps and stuff. And then you need to import it into Substance, and in Substance you create, you maybe create all the other maps, the normal map and height map and stuff like that for the textures. You work in Substance, you finish, you need to export all the textures, and then you need to take the model and the textures and put them into Unreal Engine. And then in Unreal Engine, if you are working as a team, there is a bunch of options for source control. So Git is in beta, but it works, and there's a bunch of other options for source control. So technically, you can share a project between people, and then commit your changes, and then review those changes and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a lot of importing, exporting between a bunch of software, and then you add more people into the mix. So if I'm working on an asset and I don't know, I send it to an animator that need to rig it and animate it, and then maybe someone asks for a change to the model, and then I need to update the model for the animation, but maybe the animator already imported the rig into Unreal, and that's the kind of things it's supposed to solve. So if all of us have the plugin, we can just work on the same file at like all the time, and it sync all the changes, and we don't need to import and export things all the time to work between us and stuff like that. So that's how I imagine it to work. But then again, I'm a solo developer that don't play with other people.
I hear you. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see like how big. I guess it's like for big organization that maybe have like, you know, cross collaboration between studios that are far away from each other, or I mean, I don't know. It's still like too high level for me.
They said, well, they are selling it as also a solution for people working on the same office. And again, I think there is a point for it. Like what I said, usually in a proper studio, there is someone doing the 3D modeling, and someone doing the UV maps, and someone doing the textures, someone doing the rigging and animation and stuff like that. And it all can be done in the same program. But again, you need to import, export, everyone to each one of your computers, and then sync the changes and stuff like that. So it's supposed to be easier with this. It's currently in closed beta. You can sign up for it, and again, it will require an RTX card, and we'll see how it develops. It's certainly interesting.
For sure.
Okay, that's all we have on the show today. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Omer, as always, for being here with me.
Thank you. So I will see you in 2 weeks, same time, same place, more coffee. This is a lessons learned.
It's not on the same time, but you made it early in like an hour next time.
No, I think it's the same time. I'm looking at my calendar right now. Unless you have like daylight savings time in between.
You specifically moved the time an hour early because you had a meeting.
No, check your calendar, then talk to me.
For me, it's an hour early.
So I think you have like daylight. I think you have daylight saving times, and it was somewhere in between.
We don't exit daylight every time until the end of the month.
I don't know. Anyway, it's same time for me. Let's call it that.
I still say that you specifically moved the meeting, but fine.
Fine.
You can find us online on Twitter. I'm Icel and he's Omer Kaplan. Don't forget to
Hello.
subscribe to the podcast, comment and leave your reviews on your preferred listening app at theburn.live. And our team was created by Andarko with vocals by Fishy Twitch. They are both on Twitter. Check them out. That's it from us. See you next time.
See you next time.
Goodbye.